Well, a very good evening to you. Thank you very much for watching KBC Channel 1. You are in time for Prime Edition, this 29th day of May 2025, a day when the Attorney General has assured that the public seal is still within the custody of her office. And we shall also be updating you on the Finance Bill public participation. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry gave its opinion to Parliament today. The details of all that and other stories are coming up during Prime Edition. But first, here are today's highlights. Kenya's giant of letters exits the stage. Renowned novelist, playwright and scholar Professor Prof Watongo eulogized from far and wide. High Court okays Parliament to start vetting the 7 persons nominated as IEBC commissioners, but adds a caveat against their gazettement and swearing in.
The legal custody of the public seal remains with the Attorney General, and as such, the Attorney General has and retains the in custodia legis and of the public seal.
The seal is in my custody. Attorney General Dorcas Woodward dismisses reports that the public seal is with the head of public service. And Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his DCP counterpart Rigathi Gachagua say the opposition is sorting out who will be its 2027 flag bearer. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Betty Kiptum and Lensa Odingo is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Now, the country inched closer to reconstituting IEBC after the courts on Thursday okayed Parliament to begin vetting the 7 nominees as commissioners. High Court Judge Lawrence Mugambi lifting earlier orders that blocked Parliament from vetting the nominees, however, stopped the swearing in of the commissioners pending the hearing and determination of a case challenging the validity of the vetting process by the selection panel. Ruth Wamboi has details of the legal bottlenecks facing the president's nominees.
Delivering the ruling on Thursday, Justice Lawrence Mugambi stated that despite the doctrine of separation of powers, the process of appointing the commissioners will not be finalized before the case challenging their nomination is heard and determined.
The petitioners have succeeded in demonstrating that there is a real threat to the right to free and fair elections if the process is not constitutionally compliant and that is capable of posing a threat to free and fair elections, which is a protected constitutional tenet.
Mugambi noted that the issues raised in the petition touch on the sovereignty of the people and warrant serious judicial scrutiny.
Under the principles of separation of powers, the court must respect the institutional committee and allow Parliament to discharge a constitutional function without also endangering the substratum of this petition.
The petitioners argue that the vetting process by the selection panel lacked transparency and adequate public participation, violating constitutional requirements.
That pending the hearing and termination of this petition, a conservatory order is hereby issued forbidding and or preventing the gazettement, taking of oath, or assuming of office by the interested parties, namely Erastus Edung Ethekon, Anne Jerin Deritu, Moses Altara Mukwana, Mary Karen Sorobit, Hassan Nur Hassan, Francis Odhiambo Odwol, Fahima Haravat Abdara, or any other person or persons as the chairman or commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
Acknowledging the weighty issues raised in the petition, the judge said they required an even bench to hear the case.
This file is hereby forwarded to the Chief Justice for empanelment of an even number of judges to hear and determine the petition pursuant to the provisions of Article 165(4) of the Constitution.
Following the court's ruling, National Assembly Speaker Moses Watongo has called on the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to move with urgency and begin the vetting of the IEBC nominees. The petition had been filed by activists Boniface Mwangi and Kelvin Roy Omonde, who challenged the legality of the selection process.
Given that the elections are not far, their issues need to be done, and I do believe that the Chief Justice will quickly give a bench which will listen to the main petitions.
Even as the court has given the green light for IEBC nominees to be vetted by Parliament, it has said that it has powers to stop any unconstitutional process and doesn't have to wait until the end. Ruth Wamboi reporting for Prime Edition from Milimani Law Court.
And Attorney General Dorcas Oduor has dismissed reports that the public seal is not under her custody. Speaking after unveiling the Committee for Rapid Results initiative aimed at fast-tracking settlement of land and environmental-related disputes, Oduor sought to put to rest the debate, saying her office remains the lawful custodian of the critical government symbol. Media reports had earlier indicated that the public seal had moved to the head of Public Service Office.
There has been conflicting reports on the whereabouts of the public seal, with a section of the media claiming that it had been moved to the head of Public Service Felix Koskei office. Speaking while unveiling the Committee for Rapid Results initiative, Attorney General Dorcas Oduor dismissed claim that the public seal had been moved, saying her office remains the legal custodian of the critical government symbol.
The custody of the public seal is the subject of Section 28 of the Office of the Attorney General's Act, Caps 6A of the laws of Kenya. This provision stipulates that the Attorney General shall have custody of the public seal of the Republic of Kenya. This particular provision has neither been repealed nor amended in any manner whatsoever. Accordingly, the legal custody of the public seal remains with the Attorney General, and as such, the Attorney General has and retains the in custodia legis of the public seal, namely the legal right to control, protect, and care for the public seal under the Attorney General's charge.
The seal is used to stamp critical documents to represent the government, to show they are authentic and official. It also acts as the formal approval mechanism for governance, financial transactions, diplomatic agreements, and critical national deals.
And I am sure that we have had no problem with the issue of the public seal, apart from what is in the papers. And the government is one government. The executive is one executive. We work together collaboratively under the leadership of the President.
Oduor has in the meantime unveiled the committee to help deal with the land and environment-related cases in the country, which are on the rise.
We are currently tracking at least 10,581 pending land and environmental-related cases involving the government. This include 1,852 cases of land fraud, 315 cases of illegal acquisition of public land, 283 cases of double allocation, 169 cases involving evictions, 128 cases relating to the compulsory acquisition, 40 cases on historical injustices, and 37 cases involving environmental rights violations.
Oduor exuded confidence on newly established committees, saying timely and effective implementation of the report will be helpful to stakeholders in the land sector and policymakers in the two levels of government. Over 10,581 land and environment-related cases are currently waiting determination in the court system. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
To affordable housing matters now, President William Ruto says the formation of a broad-based government has helped neutralize divisive politics and accelerate Kenya's socio-economic development. Speaking after presiding over the launch of various affordable housing projects in Kisumu, the president hailed the fruits of a new era of cooperation between the Kenya Kwanza administration and the opposition leader Raila Odinga. Ruto reaffirmed his commitment to equitable development across the country, irrespective of political leanings.
President William Ruto on Thursday commenced his tour of Nyanza region. He began by inspecting and commissioning development projects. It is here that the head of state said the government will inject 3.2 billion shillings into the LV Marina housing project, which is expected to be completed within 18 months.
Tumekuja kufanya ground breaking ya nyumba ingine 880 katika uwanja huu, ili sehemu hii yote ijengwe manyumba, wananchi wasikae kwa slum, wakuje waishi hapa, mahali kuna maji, kuna stima, kuna usafi, kuna dignity, ndio Kenya iweze kwenda mbele.
President Ruto also lauded the broad-based government, which he says has played a role in ensuring significant development progress.
Mimi nataka niwaambie wale watu wanasema ya kwamba watatuletea kisirani, na mimi nawaambia wasituletee kisirani. Sisi tunataka kuendelea na kazi bila break. Watu wa Kisumu, mnataka wale watuletee siasa mfululizo ama tuendelee na kazi bila break? Tuendelee na kazi bila break. Tufanye affordable housing, vijana wapate ajira, turekebishe kilimo, wakulima wapate pesa, tuendelee na uvuvi.
Tulisema endeleo ni sasa, na kama si sasa ni sasa hivi, sivyo? Hii ndio sababu tulifanya hii mkataba na chama ya Bwana Ruto, ODM na UDA, tukaweka kataba ili tuweze kufanya pamoja kwa manufaa ya watu wetu wote.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who accompanied the president, donated 5 acres of land in Kisumu for the government's affordable housing project.
Hii mambo ya affordable housing program ni mpango mzuri sana ya kimaendeleo. Maana yake mnajua binadamu wako na haki 5 muhimu zaidi. Kwanza ni haki ya kuishi, haki ya maisha, sio the right to life. Pili ni haki ya chakula.
The president added 750 units which will primarily benefit low-income earners, including vegetable vendors and boda operators. President Ruto further revealed plans to construct a total of 15,000 affordable housing units in Kisumu County, with 2,400 already under construction.
And Kenyans have eulogized the late renowned writer Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o as a shrewd and patriotic man who shaped Kenyan politics and literature through his writings. This, as a group of scholars is urging the government to formally recognize the contributions of authors to the literary arts in Kenya, particularly in light of the passing of Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
The news of Ngugi wa Thiong'o's death on Wednesday has left a profound impact on many, especially those who had the privilege of working with him or who were inspired by his literary works. In his writing, the late Thiong'o chronicled Kenya's evolution from a colonial subject to a democratic nation. His literary career began in the 1960s with his novel Weep Not Child, and he is celebrated for other significant works, including The River Between, A Grain of Wheat, Petals of Blood, and Wizard of the Crow. A section of scholars now want the government to put a monument at the University of Nairobi in honor of his works to the country.
Let us celebrate the sending off of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. If it's going to be in Nyeri, let us see how to add value to that moment of sending him home. And if it may please the Ministry of Culture, Heritage, Tourism, and the like, let us create a center around this name, around this home.
President William Ruto Thursday eulogized Thiong'o as a towering giant of Kenyan letters, praising his undeniable patriotism and courage. Thiong'o's daughter, Wanjiku wa Ngugi, while sharing the news of her father's passing on her Facebook page, revealed that his last wish was for his life and work to be celebrated after his death, a sentiment that resonates deeply with his admirers. Ngugi wa Thiong'o was born on January 5th, 1938 in Kamiridhu, Kiambu County. In 1977, his play, I Will Marry When I Want, co-authored with Ngugi wa Meri, led to his detention. During his imprisonment, he penned Devil on the Cross, his first novel written in Gikuyu. After his release, Ngugi relocated to the United States, where he served as a professor of English and comparative literature. Mchuma Odim, Prime Edition.
The River Between was my favorite set book in high school, and of course, may Ngugi's soul rest in peace. Now, opposition leaders led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Democracy for Citizens Party leader Rigathi Gachagua have called on Kenyans to be patient as they work on a strategy to unveil their flag bearer in the 2027 general elections. The leaders also called on Kenyans, especially the youth, to get identification cards and register as voters in large numbers in order to exercise their democratic right on the ballot. They spoke in Seikuru Kitui County, where Kalonzo Musyoka sought blessings from his clansmen in his presidential bid.
Sisi hapa, mukituona hivyo, tuko na nia.
Sisi kama jamii ya Wakamba tumeamua kumtoa mtoto wetu atoke nje sasa akaombe kura.
Gen Z milioni 9 wapate ID. It is their right. Na ukipata ID, register immediately. Nimekuja hapa kuomba ruhusa niende safari. Nikirudi hapa nitarudi na ile nitakuwa nimepata.
Mimi naomba Wakenya mtulie. Mtupatie nafasi. Msituharakishe kutangaza flag bearer. Lakini mtuamini ya kwamba kati yetu hapa tutatoa kiongozi mo.
From politics, let's get into matters healthcare, and communication between the deaf community and public healthcare providers has received a boost following the launch of an app that provides real-time sign language interpretation services. Health stakeholders attending the launch of the app in Nairobi hailed it for bridging the communication gap, calling for more technology-driven investments towards assisting persons with disability access health services.
Imagine being deaf, walking into a hospital with an emergency, but you have no way of communicating with the health provider who barely understands sign language.
A deaf person is supposed to travel probably from Kayole, right, to Mama Lucy. And the interpreter might not necessarily be living in Nairobi. The emergency then will stop being an emergency. He will just be going to address a situation that has arisen.
This is the harsh reality facing the deaf community when seeking health services at public health facilities.
One, the barrier in communication. Again, we are not able to really understand how the patient is feeling. And you know, for you to treat any patient, you must get history. And history is important, especially if it comes from the primary patient. That is the patient himself, not someone else explaining.
It is perhaps this gap that health stakeholders sought to fix with the launch of an app that is designed to conduct real-time interpretation services dubbed Assist All.
The lack of and the logistical challenge of a sign language interpreter going to offer that service live is actually reduced to almost negligible. The challenges are reduced to negligible amounts by actually having this interpreter on the virtual space.
Because we've been trained how to use, you just log in, then when you have a patient, now you call the interpreter, and then they will be able to bridge the gap between the medical officer or the medical practitioner and the patient.
Speaking during the launch of the program at the Kenya Institute of Special Education in Nairobi, Luke Muleka said the mobile application will be piloted across all level 4 in 5 hospitals in Nairobi in a bid to enhance universal, inclusive and equitable healthcare in the country.
The app is able, as you dial, a free dialing on through the wallet of the Nairobi County government. There is a payment to the app, because if you are going in as a regular customer, you pay 30 shillings a minute, but it's broken down to per second billing.
We really appreciate if they could have more of assistive devices to help us help our patients.
John Kahiro for Prime Edition.
Now, the third leg of the Kenya Revenue Authority Tax Services Roadshow has concluded amidst calls for eligible taxpayers to avoid the last-minute rush to file their returns. Approximately 3 million taxpayers have filed their returns with a month remaining to the 30th of June deadline. KRA officials continued with the roadshow sensitization campaign in South Rift, North Rift and Western regions, assisting residents to file their returns and take advantage of the tax amnesty. The amnesty has seen the taxman collect over 15 billion shillings in revenue. The roadshow by KRA and its media partner, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, on Thursday toured Kendubei, Oyugis, Rangwe, Rodi Ndiwa and Mbita areas in Homa Bay.
So far, if you look at the numbers, we're about 2.7 million taxpayers who've already filed their returns as at now. And I think we can do more. We can actually do more as a country. We just ask people to come out and ensure these things happen. If you're not really sure, just come to the truck or get to any of our offices and you'll get the support that you require. And there's a very interesting story. Somebody said that, panya ilikula cheti chake cha ushuru. Don't worry. Just come with your ID number. That's all you need. And we'll give you, we'll help you file your returns. We'll let you know what your PIN number, KRA PIN number is. And if possible, with help, we'll also try to get you a new tax certificate, which you'll get instantly on email. If you have any tax debts, even if it's from 1911 or 1971 or 2013 or 2022, and you have this debt that has accumulated up to December 2023 for that period, all we are saying, just pay the principal tax. And the penalty, interest and fines shall all be waived.
Mimi ni mfanyakazi wa Mobei County na nimefurahia kama watu wa Kenya Revenue Authority wamekuja hapa Homa Bay, Kindu Bay Town kutusaidia ili tufile returns zetu. Mimi mwenyewe nimefile yangu, itu kitu kidogo tu, dakika chache tu, unapeana majina kamili, ID number na phone number, unafile return zako.
The Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs, Geoffrey Ruku, has called on senior managers at the National Youth Service to ensure prudent and accountable use of public resources. He warned those who are unwilling to uphold principles of good governance and service delivery to step aside, saying resources must be managed appropriately and efficiently to achieve the intended goals. Ruku spoke during the official handover of the NYS Council Chair, with Lieutenant General retired Njuki Mwaniki passing the baton to Lieutenant General retired Adan Mulata, who, after serving 2 terms at the helm of the institution.
We have to guard national service from those who may have some element of thinking that national youth service seem to be, they can take advantage of it. So the instructions are, anyone who may tend to misuse the resources allocated or made available to the National Youth Service so that we can train, we can instill discipline, we can guide the young youth of the Republic of Kenya. That has no space to be in the National Youth Service compound.
And that story there brings us to our first break here on KBC Channel 1 Prime Edition. Do tell us where you're watching from at KBC Channel 1 on Twitter. My personal Twitter handle is @BettyKiptum. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
Je, umewahi kuwa na deni ya KRA? Basi usiwe na shaka. KRA wakishirikiana na KBC wamekuandalia roadshow murwa kabisa. Jiunge nasi tukufahamishe kuhusu KRA Tax Amnesty Program na jinsi utakavyoweza kusamehewa adhabu na riba na KRA. Pia tutakuwa tunakusaidia kujaza fomu za kodi za mwaka 2024 na kukusaidia na huduma za KRA kwa mtaa wako. Jumanne tarehe 3 mwezi Juni tutakuwa maeneo ya Machakos kuanzia Syokimau na kupitia Mlolongo, Kitengela, Athi River, Machakos, Mutituni na tumalizie Tala. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
Tracy, ulifikisha doza trip?
Sijafikisha bado. Saving for retirement has been my biggest priority.
So windy trip, nilikuambia jua kali kuna do. Mimi venye nimejipanga na hii biashara yangu, sione nikiwahi sote.
Trip bado tunaenda. Na by the way, do you save for retirement?
Kwani mimi ni mzee? I'm still young and I've got plenty of time to start saving later. Then again, si watu wa jua kali, hatunanga hizo ma pension plans.
Kwani ujui unaweza register with an individual pension plan yenye iko regulated na RBA?
Inawakaje?
Una deposit any amount of money at any time na uko guaranteed ukikuwa mzee. maisha yako itakuwa nywe.
Badala nakushua ni ukweli. Hadi mimi boost savings zangu kwa scheme yetu ya job.
Really?
Nilijua siwezi kuwa kijana forever. Sis, usikose kujipanga mapema. Tutakuwa wazee wa maana.
Hebu nionyesheni kuwa mzee wa maana.
Ensure you save and plan for your retirement during your youthful working days. Provided you are earning an income, you can join a retirement benefit scheme registered by Retirement Benefits Authority and safeguard your tomorrow. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition and thank you for staying with us. We go to other news now. The Kenyan government has given the green light to Somaliland to set up a liaison office in Nairobi. Somaliland President Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi, who jetted into the country on Monday, officially launched the mission in Runda, Nairobi, after an official nod from the Foreign Affairs Ministry. He noted that the mission will serve as a diplomatic representation in Kenya, facilitating trade, consular services and political engagements.
After days of waiting with anticipation, the people of Somaliland now have a liaison office here in the capital. The event, which was set to commence on Tuesday this week, was cancelled by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, noting that no approval had been granted for such an event and that the activity does not carry the endorsement or the formal recognition of the Kenyan government.
We Kenyans sincerely apologize for small hitches that has happened here. It is not our culture. It was not meant to humiliate you. I assure you that the Kenyan government, the Kenyan political system welcomes Somaliland so much.
However, the mission has confirmed that the Kenyan government has given the nod for the historical ceremony.
Without the dedication of countless individuals to the Kenyan authorities who have facilitated this mission's establishment.
To the Kenyan officials present, your participation honors us, and your nation's steadfast pragmatism in engaging Somaliland has paved the way for this today.
The ministry acknowledged Kenya's appreciation for its relations with Somaliland.
And to the Somalilanders, whether one-time presidents of Kenya or newly arrived, this mission is your home.
According to the Somaliland President Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi, the liaison office will serve as a diplomatic representation in Kenya, facilitating trade, consular services and political engagement.
What we are doing here is more than an inauguration or opening of a mission. We are confirming and reconfirming a bond that has grown organically.
It is from Somaliland, and we respect these people because they are very, very strategic. They know how to live with other communities.
This is a democratic country. We don't care about this little politics here and there. We are going to support Somaliland 100%.
One of the things that are turning to Kenya Somaliland Council is unemployment. As much as we are reaching to the Kenyan market, we are also asking the Republic of Somaliland and the President for job opportunities.
Since Somaliland declared its independence from Somalia in 1991, it remains unrecognized internationally, meaning its diplomatic mission functions remain as a liaison role rather than a formal embassy. The Somaliland government has vowed to work closely with the Kenyan government, especially on trade, aside from security-related matters that they work on to root out the Al-Shabaab menace from the Horn of Africa. Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
And to stories from the counties now. Police have launched an investigation into an incident in which a body of a middle-aged man was found dangling from an electricity pole in Shitaho, Kakamega County. The man was allegedly electrocuted while trying to vandalize live power lines. These and more stories in the County News Roundup.
According to the residents, the deceased may have been trying to vandalize live power lines when he was electrocuted.
Jana ambayo kufikia sasa hatujajua mahali ametoka, hatujajua familia yake, kila mtu baada ameshituka.
Nasikia kama tumbo inauma sana kwa sababu kuona mtoto amekufa juu ya mti hatujui kisa ni nini. Kwa sababu tumekuwa na ukora mingi kwa hii barabara.
In other news, Mogoka farmers from Mwea in Kirinyaga County have opposed a proposed bill that seeks to strip Miraa of its legal status as scheduled crop while calling on the National Assembly to block the debate on the bill.
Governor wa Embu tunamuomba aweze kuingilia hii maneno, aongee na president, hii maneno ishe. President mwenyewe alituelezea tukimpatia kura ambazo tulimpatia 100% atakuja kutuinua kibiashara. Na sasa badala tuinurue tunakadamizwa.
In Baringo County, 15% of people who are at work are living with at least one mental illness, with depression and anxiety leading. This is according to Masi Karanja, a consultant psychiatrist with the Ministry of Health.
So is work the problem? No, work is not the problem because we need work. I mean, if you're jobless, sasa hapo ndio shida iko. In fact, but the work also needs to be decent. And the work needs to safeguard your mental health.
And Bungoma County Governor Kenneth Lusaka has promised to promote over 200 clinical officers who have stagnated on grade for years. Finally, the collaboration of Women in Development CWID, a public benefit organization, is intensifying its advocacy efforts to combat entrenched corruption at the grassroots level through feminist networks. Speaking in Mombasa during a 3-day workshop convened by the Global Fund for Women, the CWID Executive Director Betty Sharon said participants were equipped on how to effectively deal with corruption.
Many occasions when we talk about corruption, we only see corruption at the high level, but we are forgetting that at the low level, we support corruption by knowing or without knowing. That is why we have come up with the approach of starting from the bottom, starting from the grassroots.
Now, the government has been challenged to end perennial insecurity in Lake Victoria, even as it encourages full exploitation of its vast potential in the blue economy. Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga said the fisherfolk in the lake continue to experience attacks from criminal elements and harassment by uniformed officers believed to be from a neighboring country. Achola Simon reports.
As the Blue Economy Summit entered day 2, the never-ending cries of rampant insecurity in the lake echoed once again. Governor Gladys Wanga challenging the Line Ministry to stamp its authority in the interest of the fisherfolk for optimum exploitation of the lake's potential in the blue economy. Wanga also wants systems put in place to ensure sustainability of the lake and its fauna. Value addition of the lake's produce was also cited as key in maximizing earnings from their catch.
We hope that we can work together to see that our fish can find space to be processed, not just far away, but also here. We must conclude the Lake Victoria Ring Road for easy access to all the beaches.
Currently, only 40% of the fish flesh is utilized, leaving a huge chunk of percentage with even higher economical value going to waste.
The flowery bits, eh?
Yeah.
These are the scales, right?
These are scales.
Yes.
These are scales that most of the time when you go to these filleting industries or the market, the women will just scale the fish and leave this to litter the environment. But again, we bring this knowledge to the community that to learn that this is something that can really be of economic value. This can be done to make the flowers, and these flowers, they can be sold.
Players also want policies to govern the exploitation of some parts of the fish to safeguard the industry. Kenyans were also urged to patent innovations hinged on blue economy.
And that is why we want the youth to seize this opportunity and exploit the potential that is available here. There are so many things that can be done by exploiting the marine life in terms of the flora and fauna, and we have seen various products here that can come from this area.
President William Ruto is expected to close the conference on Friday ahead of the Madaraka Day celebrations on Sunday. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Homa Bay County.
And we now switch gears to matters of business. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is calling for implementation of pro-business reforms. The chamber is urging Parliament to adopt proposals that de-risk liquidity and improve cash flow for businesses. Top among these is shortening the bad debt refund window from 24 months to 12 months, proposed in the Finance Bill 2025.
Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry Thursday officially submitted its proposals to the Parliamentary Finance and Planning Committee, calling for reforms aimed at supporting micro, small and medium-sized enterprises and driving inclusive growth. Among the key proposals include capping turnover and housing levies for small businesses, fast-tracking VAT refunds to avoid liquidity challenges, retaining tax for deductibility for corporate social responsibility, ensuring judicial oversight on access to personal data. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is calling for the scrapping of the 20% excise duty on digital services, arguing that it overlaps with existing taxes and could stifle the digital economy. Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry President Dr. Eric Ruto told the committee that if supported, MSMEs could inject 4.05 trillion shillings to the economy, creating 12 million jobs and generating up to 800 billion shillings in tax revenue annually. He welcomed the reduction of export levies on semi-finished goods from 17.5% to 10%, but called for additional support such as local incentives and power subsidies to boost manufacturing and value addition. Wairi Mujenga for Prime Edition.
And consumer protection authorities are calling on aviation industry players to review their commercial practices and ensure that their environmental claims comply with consumer protection law. The International Consumer Protection and Enforcement Network, which represents over 70 consumer protection authorities, including the COMESA Competition Commission, says airlines ought to ensure accuracy in their environmental claims to avoid misleading consumers. The global aviation industry is responsible for an estimated 3% of the annual net emissions of carbon dioxide produced by human activity and additional non-CO2 warming effects. The consumer protection watchdog umbrella body, International Consumer Protection and Enforcement Network, says given the aviation industry's present emissions and projected future growth, the introduction of measures to reduce emissions is critical. In an open letter to aviation industry players, the International Consumer Protection and Enforcement Network says environmental claims ought to be accurate, clear, and based on reliable and scientifically based evidence. The Consumer Protection Watchdog says this will ensure consumers make informed choices with greater confidence to identify airlines they consider to be making the greatest effort to reduce emissions. This will help drive innovation and investment in more sustainable technology within the aviation industry. The International Consumer Protection and Enforcement Network is advising airlines against making environmental claims without sufficient evidence to support the claims, making vague and general claims, as well as overstating environmental measures. COMESA Competition Commission CEO Dr. Willard Mwemba, while addressing the African Competition Law Conference, said there is need for consumer laws to regulate the conduct of market actors in their interaction with consumers for the benefit of consumers. Dr. Mwemba said, and I quote, "The market may be competitive, but may not necessarily be considered to be working properly if consumers are not aware of their rights in order to fully benefit from the services provided by market actors." Players in the manufacturing sector should embrace clean energy solutions and prioritize electricity conservation to reduce production costs. Speaking at a clean energy conference in Nairobi, Kenya Association of Manufacturers Chief Executive Officer, that is Tobias Alando, said the manufacturing sector can reap substantial benefits from investing in energy-efficient systems and cleaner technologies. Alando also encouraged manufacturers to align with global market trends that increasingly favor environmentally conscious and sustainable production practices.
If you walk around the world and different countries, they are way ahead in terms of energy efficiency and conservation, and therefore Kenya should not be left behind. We are much way ahead in East Africa, and we need to do what we have to do to maintain that standard of energy conservation. We need to invest in clean energy, and that's why many companies are now substituting and using solar. So you'll still use your electricity, but you have an alternative backup through solar in terms of saving. So daytime, you use solar, and nighttime, you use energy, the normal energy.
Tumia solar kwa shule ama kwa industrial ama commercial, it will be much important kuliko kutumia electricity. Itakuwa much better kuliko kutumia electricity wakati unatumia solar packages, because hiyo itakuwa na bili yote, utakuwa tu unatumia the lightings, na ile time wakati hakuna lightings, the storage yenye mahali power inastoriwa itakulania. Hata kukiwa na manyunyunyu ya mvua nini mawingu, itaweza kukulania equipment zako up to the next day.
And the Western Tourism Circuit is being positioned as a key adventure destination, spotlighting unexplored landscapes, rich cultural heritage and other natural attractions. Tourist attraction sites in the counties of Kakamega, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Kisii, Siaya and Nyamira will be highlighted under the Western Tourism Circuit, as Regina Manyara narrates.
Kenya is moving away from traditional tourist offerings of safari and beach to niche products including sports, adventure and wellness as demand for diversity among travelers increases.
I'm seeing this place being one of the area that is going to attract more youth, particularly to come and do a bit of cycling, a bit of adventure, a bit of, moving around the forest.
The Magharibi Trails has attracted hundreds of cyclists and hikers drawn from the counties of Kakamega, Nairobi and Homa Bay.
Sisi kama wanaklabu wa IEBC tunakuza talanta.
Sio tunafanya tu baiskeli kwa mashindano peke yake, bali pia ni kwa kujenga mwili wako, pia unapata afya mzuri.
We kick it off here at Kakamega County, Kakamega Forest, and we shall go all the way to Homa Bay County to Rusinga Highland, where we'll be able to experience the amazing Lake Victoria.
Cyclists and hikers took on Kakamega's forest challenging terrain. Cyclists pushed through a 63-kilometer route from Lubao to Chinalu, while hikers conquered 27 kilometers on foot, testing endurance in the breathtaking scenery.
So the essence of the trails is to partner with communities, and the trail series also has an element of sports tourism, which we are working on in partnership with Athletics Kenya, that hosts local and international sporting events that are able to position Kenya as an ideal sports destination for sports tourism.
Kenya is targeting 200,000 adventure tourists annually for hiking, mountain climbing and water sports in 5 years.
The Kenya Tourism Board, as a marketing agency, says this is key to unlocking Kenya's quest of becoming an ideal tourist destination, offering beyond safari and beach tourism portfolios. I'm Regina Manyara reporting live from the Kakamega Forest National Reserve in Kakamega County for KBC Channel 1.
Thank you, Regina, for that report. Now to banking. Financial results matters. Now, Equity Group has reported 14.8 billion shillings in net profit during the first 3 months of this year, which is 3.9% lower than the 15.4 billion shillings that it posted during a similar period last year. Equity Group blames the reduced profit to currency fluctuations in South Sudan, as well as lower interest income.
Equity Group saw its loans and advances to customers as at March 2025 remain flat at 421.5 billion shillings. From this, the lender made 25.2 billion shillings on interest income on loans and advances, which was lower than the 27.1 billion shillings released during a similar period in 2024. Equity Group realized 41.9 billion shillings in total interest income, which was lower than the 43.4 billion shillings that was made during the first 3 months of 2024. The same trend was witnessed in non-interest income that reduced from 22.24 billion shillings to 19.6 billion shillings.
Net interest margin expanded from 7 to 8, and as a result, her actual profit is up 540%.
The expenses side saw the total operating expenses marginally reduce from 29.7 billion shillings to 29.5 billion shillings to 132.8 billion shillings. The increase was reflected in the loan loss provision that was increased to 51.3 billion shillings, up from 49.7 billion shillings a year ago.
So broadly, NPLs, yes, they are high, but they are not a cause of alarm to us as management, because we know that it's not across the book. It's a corporate segment. Corporates are secured. Corporate documentation is good.
Equity Group's total assets has increased to 1.75 trillion shillings.
Kenya's banking industry is rapidly adopting digital transformation in advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and customer experience, without forgetting leveraging on adaptability of regulatory frameworks. Alan Aoko, Prime Edition.
The men and women in boats, they are commanded to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. Their bravery knows no limits.
Make a man go through the wall without breaking the wall. Laziness, it is not in our vocabulary.
But what are their stories, their tales? Military Tales, every Saturday at 9 p.m. with Ben Troy Joe.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition. Now, the youth should step up development of homegrown solutions to tackle emerging technological challenges and reduce reliance on imports. Industry Principal Secretary Dr. Juma Mukhwana is urging the youth to take advantage of digital opportunities to earn a decent living and drive Kenya's digital transformation agenda.
The global software market revenue is projected to reach a staggering $742.58 billion this year, with an annual average growth rate of 3.98% for the next 5 years. Kenya is now angling for a pie with the expansion of digital skills pool, which according to industry principal secretary Dr. Juma Mkwana can support development of local solutions to tackle challenges faced in the country.
We are buying a lot of softwares from other people. You all know you are in this space. We are buying networking softwares. We are buying computing software, cybercrime, all these we're paying subscriptions. The young people who are doing those things just look like you. So let's look for solutions. Don't spend your time on the internet abusing others. Spend time looking for how to make money in that space.
The 263 students drawn from various universities in Kenya underwent 3 months training on various digital skills.
Skills and workforce development must proactively adapt to meet the skill needs of the future businesses. So you are well equipped now to support the businesses in your country.
Through the 6.5 billion shillings Rapid Tech Skills initiative funded by the government and the World Bank and implemented by Spainbag and E4Impact, the selected students were equipped with in-demand skills in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, software engineering, data science, soft skills, and entrepreneurship.
All this we've done as a ministry through your leadership, PS, with the support of the Vice Chancellors. It's geared towards attaining our Vision 2030 and by extension our Africa Agenda 2063.
The training is part of the Kenya Industry and Entrepreneurship Project, strengthening Kenya's innovation ecosystem project that has been running since 2018.
And to our weekly segment, Magical Scenes, and today we are in Shaba National Reserve, which boasts of rugged landscapes, diverse wildlife and rich cultural heritage. Tonight on Magical Scenes, we highlight Shaba, a hidden gem waiting to be explored by travelers and wildlife enthusiasts. Take a look.
Shaba National Reserve spans approximately 250 square kilometers, characterized by rolling hills, acacia woodlands, and the meandering Ewasongiro River. The unique topography creates a striking contrast against the backdrop of the arid plains, offering a picturesque setting that is both serene and dramatic. The river, which serves as the lifeblood of the reserve, attracts wildlife, making it a prime spot for game viewing. Shaba is known for its large populations of elephants, reticulated giraffes and gravy zebras, some of the rarest animals in Africa. Birdwatchers will delight in the rich avifauna with over 300 species recorded, including the striking Somali ostrich and the vibrant violet-breasted roller.
Not just giraffe, a reticulated giraffe, Borevis zebra, Somali ostrich, long-necked gazelle or gerenuk, and the oryx, the Isla oryx. So those animals are only found in the northern part of the country.
Beyond its natural beauty, Shaba National Reserve is steeped in cultural significance. The reserve is located near the traditional lands of the Samburu people, a semi-nomadic pastoralist community known for their vibrant customs and colorful attire. Visitors to Shaba have the unique opportunity to engage with the Samburu, learning about their way of life, traditions, and the symbiotic relationship they share with the land and its wildlife. Chuma Odim, Magical Sense.
Now, the Finance Bill 2025 has proposed the reclassification of certain electric mobility components and vehicles from a zero-rated VAT status to VAT exempt. How would this impact the cost and adoption of electric vehicles in the country? Alan Auko explores.
The Finance Bill 2025 proposes the reclassification of certain electric mobility components and vehicles from a zero-rated VAT status to VAT exempt. Specifically, the bill proposes that electric bicycles will shift from zero-rated to VAT exempt. Electric buses under tariff heading 87.02 will also move from zero-rated to VAT exempt. Solar and lithium-ion batteries are crucial for both electric vehicles and charging infrastructure will similarly transition from zero-rated to VAT exempt. The government's broader bottom-up economic transformation agenda, BETA, and the approved National Electric Mobility Policy aims to promote e-mobility. These specific proposals within the Finance Bill 2025 have raised concerns among stakeholders. The intention of these changes are to expand the tax base and tighten tax administration rather than directly introduce new taxes. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
A Connected Africa Secretariat will be formed to track the implementation of initiatives under the Nairobi Declaration. The new entity will be domiciled at the Information Communications and Technology Authority and will be composed of ICT experts from Africa. Information Communications and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kafogo says the rollout of the Nairobi Declaration project has faced delays due to lack of a clear implementation roadmap. The Nairobi Declaration is a set of 7 key thematic areas that Africa needs to invest in to close the digital divide. They were agreed upon by ICT ministers from Africa who met during the Connected Africa Summit 2024 in Nairobi last year. Kafogo says various regional economic blocs will be encouraged to start their own summit, with the Kenyan version acting as the main platform.
Need to take this to other African countries. And I'm sure the attendance 2026 will be much better in terms of number of countries, because even those that sponsor us are telling me that they have gotten value for their sponsorship.
As curtains come down for the Connected Africa Summit 2025, the consensus from this meeting is very clear. For Africa to be on the table during the ongoing industrial revolution, Africa needs to spend on research and development. There is need for scaling up investment in critical sectors such as ICT, failure to which the continent runs the risk of lagging behind in the ongoing fourth as well as fifth industrial revolution. From Diani in Kwale County, I'm O'Brien Kimani.
And of course, those are conversations around connecting Africa and ensuring that no one is left behind. And we now want to take you to a conversation that O'Brien Kimani had at the end of the day today, the end of that particular conference. Let's look at that.
Well, thank you very much, Cindy and Nyamai in Broadcasting House. And of course, after 3 days of intense discussions, curtains finally came down for the Connected Africa Summit 2025. With a clear agenda that Africa needs to talk together. Africa needs to work together, and more funding is required to scale up investment in the ICT sector. But the question is, what is the way forward after Connected Africa Summit 2025? Joining me on the set is Stanley Kamangoya. He's the CEO of Information Communication and Technology Authority, which is the institution mandated to organize, manage, and run Connected Africa Summit. He's going to give us the way forward and, of course, other conversation. Thank you very much indeed, Stanley, for joining us. I mean, finally, The event has come to an end. How do you assess the performance of this meeting?
Thank you very much, O'Brien, and hello to all our viewers from across the country. First of all, this week has been very exciting. This is the biggest summit we have pulled off so far. We had over 1,400 delegates attending the conference this year in Diani. We had representation from about 25 countries from across the region and beyond. And, you know, we had many sessions where deliberations, ideas, and innovation were showcased just, you know, for people to share knowledge, but also to shape the digital agenda for the continent. This is the second continental summit that we are doing after our inaugural Africa Connected Summit last year. And therefore, it was very important for us to come together as a continent and assess where we are with what we called Nairobi Declaration that were pronounced by the ministers of Africa last year. We had about 14 ministers who came together and agreed on a number of issues that needs to be pushed forward to drive the digital transformation agenda in line with the African Union Digital Transformation Agenda 2020-2030. So one of the key outcomes this year is that we did adopt a number of resolutions. One of it, of course, is to establish a proper mechanism now for tracking the declarations and tracking what each country is doing in this area of
the implementation
of the digital economy. So we have then resolved, the ministers have then resolved, you know, to have a way of tracking the implementation of these particular declarations, and actually established, and we are proud that the ICT authority has been, you know, appointed as a secretariat to coordinate the rest of the region, the rest of the countries in the region in tracking of this implementation. Other than that, we have also taken stock of some of the steps that have been taken. If you recall, one of the issues that we were addressing is the issue of bridging the digital divide, where we last year committed that we will be increasing connectivity by 20% in the next 5 years. Africa right now is at an average of about 44%. So we hope that we can get to the 60% mark in terms of internet penetration in the region. And we were able to assess what different countries are doing and share a lot of lessons. The other critical thing that was discussed was the issue of cross-border data sharing for purposes of enabling trade across the African continent. You have seen the kind of challenges that, for example, we have with physical movement of goods and people between our African borders. And it is clear that some of those challenges can easily be overcome if we establish digital trading platforms. But then there lies the issue of how then do we address cross-border data issues, including cross-border payments, because there is no trade without payments, and what digital technologies or digital platforms can be able to do. So those are some of the issues that have been discussed, and we are very happy that solid resolutions have been reached, and the participating countries have also agreed to be able to update their status as we move along. The ministers have also established a mechanism to track quarterly and have, you know, virtual sessions quarterly, rather than wait for a whole year for us to convene at the next Connected Summit.
And I also think for me, you know, one of the highlights of this meeting is the fact that now there's a new secretariat that will be in charge of tracking and assessing the rollout of projects and policies under the Nairobi Declaration.
Yeah.
Help us understand what kind of what form will this secretariat take and who is going to be represented?
Yeah, so thank you very much, O'Brien. You know, like I've mentioned, the ICT authority has been appointed as the host secretariat. So what we're going to do from here on, first of all, is we're going to communicate these resolutions through the AU office in Addis, and then we're going to pick a few agencies in other countries to form a joint secretariat. We will draw up...
and these are agencies at the level of ICTA?
That is correct. In other jurisdiction, because the implementation agencies within the ministries are best placed, you know, to track the progress of the implementation for each country. But what is even more important is that the platform that we will create from this is a platform where nations can be able to put in their digital priorities and the challenges that they are facing. And then when this information gets to the secretariat, it will now help to match solutions. So for example, like for the case of Kenya, we have a very good solution on e-citizen. There could be other nations who are already struggling to digitize their services. So we can be able to match them with the e-citizen team, and they help that country. And you know, in other areas, you will find maybe there's a country that advanced in digital literacy, you know, integrating technology with education, and we can be able to also learn and adopt what they have done. We think that this will help leapfrog the digital transformation for each of the countries, but also for the region as a whole. Yeah.
Africa is made up of 54 countries. Is the secretariat, will the membership of the secretariat be drawn from the 54 countries, or it will be from selected few? So
it will be from the select few countries, and specifically those countries who have participated in the conference, because they have a deep understanding of the issues. They have participated in the resolutions, and also this particular summit, they have participated in the drawing up of the implementation plan. So those will be the initial first countries to set up the secretariat, and then as we move to the other years, as we expand into other countries, we should be able to expand that.
When do you expect the secretariat to start operations?
So we have to begin operations before December this year, so that we can prepare for the next summit. So the first step for us as a country is to communicate and pledge or seek the support of the African Union ICT division for them to help us, you know, coordinate the communication of these resolutions to the rest of the countries through the relevant diplomatic channels.
So who will be in charge of funding the secretariat and the day-to-day running of the secretariat?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting perspective. And from the sessions, what we have then agreed is that the same partners and sponsors who have been supporting Connected Summit are going to also help us supplement what the ICT authority is doing by way of supporting the secretariat to run on a day-to-day. Again, we will keep it lean in this era of digital technologies. We do not require a very big team to coordinate those efforts. But I think this is a true testament of the theme that was for this summit, where we're actually starting to actualize our aspirations, our vision to actual steps. And that's why we're saying we're now moving from vision to reality in this digital agenda.
14 years of this conference, I mean, it comes with tremendous amount of, experience in handling and hosting this kind of meetings.
Yeah.
But I have had, discussions within some of the forums that it is high time now, Connected Africa Summit, goes to another country or is held on a rotational basis. What is your feeling as the host of this meeting?
Yeah, so again, we are an agile authority. We are an authority that loves and takes feedback. Our view on this matter is that Kenya will continue to host the Connected Africa Summit, at least for the incubation years until we gather enough momentum and we formalize the governance structures of the summit before we start rotating the summit to other countries. It may take 2 years, it may take 5 years, we don't know. But for now, we will continue to host the summit here in Kenya.
If it becomes, if this summit is held on a rotational basis, what will replace that vacuum here in Kenya that will be left by Connected Africa?
Yeah, so that's an interesting perspective because for now we continue to hold the summit here. And I can guarantee you that by the time we're starting to discuss rotating, we must have at least gotten buy-in of at least half of the continent, which is somewhere between 25 to 28 countries. For now, we have buy-in of about 18 countries. So we still have a bit of journey. However, whether we move, whether we start rotating the summit or not, it is our considered view that we need to do smaller regional summits as a build-up to Connected Summit, because we also appreciate that there are certain people who are not able to come to the main summit, and those are some of the conversations that we are now starting to have, so that we still cover the Kenyan market even as we look at the continental stage. But having said that, for us really, our main objective of running this summit is to create a platform for our businesses and our innovators to access business opportunities, to access investments. And that's why we are bringing together all the African countries here. And we had a lot of, international organizations, a number of venture capitalists coming to see the innovations that are out here. And the whole idea is to really create a business environment, for the sector. Over the last 3 days, you'll be surprised because out of the 1,400 delegates, we had over 400, we have managed to arrange over 400 one-on-one meetings where different partners are meeting different clients and vice versa. We have also managed to do a lot of side events where different organizations are able to come and pick selected delegates of their interest and put them aside in a room and have a closed door, conversation. And those are some of the values that we've been giving to the people who are sponsoring, so that they can bring, they can come showcase their products, but they can actually cherry pick who is it in the summit they want to speak to specifically. And when you have 25 countries represented, in a summit, and you pick a delegate from each of those countries, you can imagine, as a tech company, how much saving it gives you, because then all of a sudden, the work that you'd have done in several months hopping through countries and the cost of it has been shrunk into one session of 2 hours in one place. And this is the value that we provide to our businesses. Yeah.
I've also heard some delegates saying that it is high time Connected Africa Summit is driven by the private sector. If that was to be true, what would be the role of ICTA?
Actually, that is already happening. And we took that approach with the Connected Africa Summit 2025, following the feedback that we got last year. And what we did is to say, look, we want the private sector to tell us what kind of a summit would they want us to facilitate. So we did two things. One is we formed a joint steering committee that has been involved in the planning of this summit, where we had representation from a private sector and representation from government. And this team has been working together for the last 3 or so months under the leadership of the ICT Authority to drive this summit. And that has done two things. Number one, it has enabled us to enrich the summit to address what our partners really want. And then number two, it has helped us to cut down on expenditure. Because in some instances, when the partners come together to sponsor, you find that because a number of them are already in the process of doing other events, they already have established ways of running events and doing procurements for those events, which saves us the trouble and the cost of doing those procurements, and the partners were able to take up a lot of those expenditures by themselves. So our work really was to facilitate the venue. Our work was to engage with high-level delegates, bring high-level delegates, bring global IT companies here, and then our partners, were able to plug in from a financial support and logistical support.
I mean, in management we say that, good ideas must always give way to better ideas, and better ideas must always pave way for best ideas. In future Connected Africa Summits, what kind of shape will they take? How will they look like in the next 2-3 years?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, because as you say, we take feedback, we get better. We have been running the summits by ourselves largely as government. This year we have taken a step to say, okay, let the private sector come in, but to a limited extent. We will push it further and say, in the next summits, let the private sector now take full lead, let them arrange the sessions, and our work really becomes a facilitative role by way of coordinating with other governments to bring delegates here, and then the private sector can run. And as we do that, we're also exploring other partnerships with global, like-minded global institutions. We are proud to announce that we are partnering with the GITEX team, and for the first time next year, we'll be running the GITEX Kenya conference in Nairobi as part of the broader agenda for opening up opportunities for the sector. Yes.
The other thing that came out of this meeting is the fact that, when you look at Africa, 54 countries, they are at various stages of connectivity. You talked about an average of 40-45%, but out of these 40-45%, you still have countries that are still very low when it comes to internet connectivity, in some countries that are still very, very high. And so then in this kind of a situation, how do you ensure that the continent is going to move together without leaving anyone behind and without delaying the rest?
Yeah. So again, a very fundamental question, the issue of digital inclusivity. And as you've said, it is true. We have some countries that have very high levels of internet penetration, up to 90-95%, countries like Morocco. On the other hand, we have countries that have very low internet penetration, 12%, 15%, countries like Burundi and South Sudan, for example. So what needs to be done? A number of things need to be done. Number one, African countries must be willing to share the infrastructure that they already have with their neighbors. And that is why, for us as a country, we have been very deliberate to allow our neighbors to utilize the national fiber optic infrastructure that we have laid in Kenya to access the international market. We have so far established 8 cross-border trading, crossing points between us and our neighbors. We have signed a memorandum of understanding with Tanzania. We have signed with South Sudan. We have done so with Uganda, and now we're exploring Somalia. Secondly, we have seen a lot of interest from our local partners, and especially those partners who operate in different countries. Because in one platform, like I said, they can be able to also address the challenges that they are facing in those particular countries. So today we had the Minister of Somalia, for example. You know, if a bank wants to go into Somalia and they are having issues, you know, they are able to address some of those issues there. So again, we expect a lot more regional organizations to plug in, and we will make it bigger and better.
Very good.
Yes.
And we shall be here.
Thank you very much, KBC, for always supporting us.
Yep.
And we thank you, and we look forward to Connected Africa Summit 2026.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Stanley.
Okay.
Asante sana. Stanley Kamangoya is the CEO of Information Communication and Technology Authority, the organizers of the Connected Africa Summit, joining us here to give us a breakdown of the issues that has been agreed upon and the way forward. Well, you have been watching Prime Edition from Diani. Thank you very much indeed. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Back to Broadcasting House.
Thank you very much, O'Brien Kimani, there coming to us from Diani, Kwale County, where the Connected Africa Summit was going on. He has been speaking to, or rather he was speaking earlier to Stanley Kamanguya, the CEO of ICT Authority. And of course, earlier he had referred to me as Cynthia Nyamai, my colleague whose seat I am sitting on, holding the fort for her today. My name, of course, is Betty Kiptum. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, sports news here on Prime Edition.
Want to delve on a conversation about generational patterns, generational alters.
Pia kwetu tumekwambia tumezaliwa tukiwa 6. Mimi number 5. Big number 5 wenye walikuwa mbele yangu hawako wamemaliza shule. Number 1 after kufika class 7 alitoroka actually akaenda Somalia kutafuta life. Yeah, number 2 6. So unaona tunakuja kama tunarudi chini kutoka class 7. Huyu mwingine second born akadrop akiwa class 6. That born alijaribu sana. Akadrop akiwa class 3.
Class 3?
Yeah, class 3.
Na wazazi wako wanaleta noma nini?
After amechapa mtu huyu akaenda. Niliamkanga tu nikaketi chini nikaambia God, if at all it's your will, niendelee kukaa kwa hii marriage, wacha nijue leo. Sasa Mungu ameniambiaje? Kanyenga kubwa. So that's how I left. Na ni mbio. Asifikirie kuja kwa nyumba kuja pata unapaka. Ndio itakuwa tuna story nyingine mbaya. Mimi na feel something would have been done back then. Maybe kama prayers wange dig deep. Hii kitu ingetuokolea kina sisi sasa. So hiyo kitu nilionanga na ni kitu yenye jumi ndio nime-identify hiyo shida. So nisiposimama nivunje hakuna mwenye ataivunja.
Na nimeambia kuongea. Unajua Singida na Pasha wamelelewa pamoja. Hawajui ubaguzi wa rangi. Kwa hivyo, ulijua kuna mambo naendelea na hukusema chochote.
Tampa mume wangu asante. Asante anaostahili mwanamume kati ya wanaume.
Huyu ndo mzaja wangu. Yaani mume wangu. Umeonaje? Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki imekamilika.
Mume.
Tafadhali, niruhusu baba Chika tafadhali. Nitampa furaha ya maisha.
Thank you for staying with Prime Edition. Time to play now. 12 Kenyan coaches have graduated from the House of Coaches project, which is an elite exchange program born from the cordial and impactful relations between Kenya and the city of Miramas in France. The graduating coaches included 9 specializing in athletics and 3 others trained in taekwondo, cycling and strength training. Officiating the graduation ceremony in Miramas, Cabinet Secretary for Sport Salim Vuria applauded the determination, discipline and resilience exhibited by the Kenyan coaches. CS Mvuria emphasized Kenya's intention to expand cooperation with France beyond the current disciplines, athletics, rugby, fencing, squash, basketball and golf, to include emerging sectors such as e-sports and water sports. The coaches, who are drawn from Kenya's school system and local sports clubs, underwent intensive training courses, including modern coaching methodologies and cutting-edge sports technology. And the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has commenced its 2-day training for security supervisors in Kenya in preparation for the 2024 African Nations Championship, slated to kick off from the 2nd to 30th of August this year. The training, which is led by CAF Head of Safety and Security, Dr. Christian Emurua, was also attended by the chairman of the local organizing committee, Nicholas Musonye, who said they are not taking any chances in the run-up to the championship to make it safe for fans and stakeholders alike. The 8th edition of the African Nations Championship will be jointly hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, and will also be used as a dress rehearsal for the 2027 African Cup of Nations in the same countries.
Safety and security training for security commanders in preparation for the CHAN is a routine that we do engage in whenever we want to organize any major tournament or events across Africa. And the fact of the matter is that in Africa we have enough police capacity, but there is need for us to also introduce to these police forces the safety and security aspect that has to do with sport security.
CAF have dedicated their time to come and work with the officers who will be on the ground. Most of them are commanders, because you remember what happened during Gabon Kenya match. There were so many lapses, and those lapses have made us to know that anything can happen in football without proper organized security. So that's why we are taking this security workshop very seriously. As a LOC, we are not taking anything for chance.
The 36th edition of the Rhino Charge, slated for this Saturday in Baringo, has received a financial boost from KCB Bank Kenya, the KCB Foundation, National Bank and Kenya Breweries Limited. The annual fundraising off-road competition is held primarily to support Rhino Arc Kenya charitable trusts' conservation efforts. 65 teams are expected to compete, including the 5-time winners led by Graham McKittrick and past champions led by Mark Glenn.
Returning to the Rhino Charge are some of the event's most recognized and resilient teams, including Team Charging Hippos, led by Sam Jethwa, and paraplegic driver whose inspiring participation also extends to the East Africa Classic Safari Rally. Bush Babes, the formidable all-female team that has participated in Rhino Charge for over 15 years, exemplifying determination and grit, and Gecko Tribe Chargers. Other top contenders include Peter Kinywa, Moto of Rajesh Maini, Batuk, Team Huzi and Zambarao Hills on the wheel. Last year's event, held in Torosei, Kajiado County, set a new record by raising 325.8 million shillings. The event received sponsorship from KCB Bank Kenya, the KCB Foundation and National Bank of Kenya to a tune of 11 million shillings. Kenya Breweries also sponsored the event to a tune of 3 million shillings. And it was a celebration of pomp and color at the inaugural Shell Motorsport Excellence Awards, held in Nairobi, where 100 speedsters were crowned in 14 categories during a ceremony attended by over 800 motorsport enthusiasts.
My challenge to you is, what's your power today? What decision can you make today to actually support and enhance motorsport? I have my voice, my small voice, almost insignificant, but I will use it to enhance motorsport in Kenya. because without us, motorsport in Kenya has no future. We are the future of motorsport in Kenya.
All right, congratulations guys, you can now have your seats.
And I know that fans of the Blues are still beaming from this. Chelsea came from a goal down to defeat Real Betis 4-1 and become tennis. 5 times Grand Slam winner Iga Swiatek extended her winning streak against British opponent Emma Raducanu to 5-0 at the Roland Garros. Swiatek, having won 4 of the last 5 titles, took control early in the second set to comprehensively defeat Raducanu 6-1, 6-2 in the second round. She will maintain her quest for her 4th French Open title in a row when she faces Jacqueline Christian on Friday.
Swiatek.
And that is the sports news and the news we had for you this evening. Thank you so much for your valued company. From everyone who made this broadcast possible, we do say thank you. Be sure to interact with us online at KBC Channel 1. My personal Twitter handle is @BettyKiptum. Have yourselves a lovely night. I am Betty Kiptum. Lensa Odingo is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Good night.
Say the earth without art would just be, get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.